All right, this is going to be a film study about Daniel Faalele and Tyler Linderbaum and how they performed in our Week 3 win over the Patriots. It's not going to be all-inclusive, meaning I'm not going to show every snap. I think I'm going to show about 16 snaps from the end zone angle that I think illustrate the progression of the game and how Faalele was clearly helped out by us at times in pass pro, but he got better. He was really slow out of his stance early on, particularly on the first two pass rush situations where Wise beat him, pretty cleanly. Unfortunate injury to Macari, very random, if you ask me. Pass rush situation. I think the first third down that we saw, maybe it was a second down. He steps on Hill's foot and he gets dislodged and upended by the D end. You'll see also the impact that I think the counter run schemes had and the option run schemes had on Wise and even to a lesser extent Judon and how much it helped Faalele. Linderbaum's just solid, to be honest with you. I mean, watching the film, I think I watched like 35 offensive snaps from the end zone angle, tried to cut this down to maybe it's 14 or 16. Linderbaum's just solid. He's always looking for work. I think he does get kind of swam one time, maybe twice in this video, but I feel like the numbers are telling us that he's pretty solid. The lack of sacks on Lamar, we know, is definitely partially related to Lamar's, ability to move, his athleticism, his escapability. So this is early in the game. You can see Macari is still on. Obviously, Linderbaum is at center. Not going to highlight him pre-snap, just talk about him sometimes. Patriots have Wise in this like 4-eye. And one good thing about Moses, like he can get out of here. He can move. I don't think he's as good on run blocking directly at the point of attack. I feel like he's better at pass pro, but he's getting out of here pretty good. Obviously, Zeitler is pretty good on these counter schemes. We ran this early. Moses getting through the gap. Second play that I'm going to show you is going to be the injury to Macari, I believe. And we did not do a good job picking up this blitz. It looks like to me 55 is clean here through the B gap. Lamar escapes out of there. But watch Macari get dislodged by Wise as he steps on Hill's foot. I'm not sure. I thought he had an ankle injury last year. Hopefully this isn't the same ankle. Clearly, and as this was mentioned to me by a couple of people, Judon blew up Moses on this play. I feel like Moses was kind of huggy a little bit more in this game for whatever reason. When I say huggy, I mean like, his hand placement and stuff was outside a lot. He ended up looking like he was bear hugging on at least 3 snaps that I'll show you today. He looked a little more sloppy than I have seen him in the first 2 weeks. 2 false starts, right? So I don't think this was Moses' sharpest game at all with the Ravens. All right, so Faalele's in now. We got the end zone angle from behind. This one's going to be pretty bad, if you ask me, against Wise. Really slow getting out of his stance. Wise's first sack, I think, maybe second. I mean, we're not even out of our stance. The ball is in Lamar's hands. We're still in our stance. That's not just slow. That's incredibly slow. So I think it just took him a while to adjust to the speed of the game. He wasn't this slow as we got into the second and third possession for us. I think he got better. He's an interesting prospect, man. 4th round pick, right? Imagine you can develop someone like that from a 4th round pick and have them on that low salary playing left tackle or right tackle. Again, Linderbaum looks for work at all times. If he doesn't get a rusher, through the gap on his left, he's going to look the other way and find work. I would say that Linderbaum is like he's like those little basketball players that do everything well, but there's nothing that they do that's spectacular because of maybe their size. All right, later on, you can see we're helping Faalele out with Josh Oliver here. Still a little slow out of his stance, if you ask me. Not as slow. Lamar now has the ball, so he's at least stepping. He's going to have a hard time with certain speed rushers. That's just reality right now. Kind of like Orlando Brown. We can't help out like this all the time because you can see what it does. If we chip with 2 guys off the snap, we have to be an empty because now we're at least getting 3 receivers out in the route initially. Gives the defense a numbers advantage. Just simplistic thinking. It gives the defense a numbers advantage in coverage. And you can see also that Lamar thinks this one's going to be complete. But he extended the play a little bit. Andrews does a great job adjusting once Lamar extends the play, kind of like, those basketball breakdown situations. And we would have liked to have seen that ball completed. I'm not sure if Andrews was held there. I don't have the all 22 in this video, but from the all 22 initially, when I first looked at it, I thought he was held. All right, little play action. Swims Ricard over here to the left. Faalele is able to at least battle and have a stalemate. Wise ends up getting a sack. So over here, Ricard is going to help out on Wise, who looks like he's telling him to come at him. It looks like he's telling him, like, come on, go ahead. And then he swims that guy. Faalele is helped out incredibly by this one because he's able to have a good base when he takes on Wise, who's almost got his back turned a little bit. You can see also that Linderbaum is finding work. I think we've got a pretty obvious hold here on Powers. It probably should have been called. Ends up being a sack. Seems like they didn't want to call holds at all, right? I mean, because that one, I feel like that one's quite obvious and could have easily been called on us. And they damn sure weren't calling any on the left tackle or the right tackle for the Patriots. Pretty horrible game officiating, if you ask me. And that's saying something, because I've coached in a couple hundred football games and seen a shit ton of bad officiating. This one takes the cake in terms of O-line blocking. All right, how did we slow up these pass rushers? How did we deal with them? Well, we let Faalele go down block on certain people, and then we pulled and kicked him. So we gave him something to think about besides just attacking off the snap. And I think that was a great investment of our time and our energy. You can see Faalele, comboing the 3 technique down to the front side inside linebacker. 30 runs himself out of there. This is a bounce job by Lamar, meaning the ball is, technically the ball is supposed to go inside this kick-out block by Zeitler and following Moses. Also, Moses does a great job pulling out of here and going and getting this guy that Andrews is dealing with. Really unique play. We end up comboing a guy downfield in Brown, who's a pretty good football player, if you ask me. I felt like this really unlocked some things for us offensively and gave our left tackle specifically, an opportunity to deal with that animal over there. I mean, Wise is a monster. 3 sacks. First player to have 3 sacks for the Patriots in a home game, I think, since Chandler Jones. Play action. So we're leaving the end guy unblocked. It looks like they're bringing a DB off the edge here. 30. Actually, as a linebacker walked up there. My apologies. And this is a great job by Lamar of finding Oliver late. I still think Moses is kind of struggling with Judon over here. Judon just gave, I felt like Judon got into his chest a lot. And Moses was hugging often, and like his posture is even starting to break down, go forward more as the game goes on. You see what I mean? Didn't play horrible, but it was not his best game compared to his previous 2, if you ask me. This is to Dobbins, not Oliver. This is the great block that Tylan Wallace had off the left side. Faalele's still battling here, by the way. Like I said, I think he got better. I think once he got a little sweat going and he understood the timing of the cadence and the ball being snapped in a game situation, really seemed to tighten up. All right, another way that we loosened him up was these counter plays out of the pistol. I call this counter wind back. I'm actually releasing a video on this later. Lamar's getting off the midline, running, so he's opening, with his face mask looking to our right. He's getting off the midline. Why? So that Hill can wind this back to the other side. Usually when Lamar opens to the right, his face mask to the right, we'll be reading an end man on the line of scrimmage here for option. I love this concept because we're pulling a lineman, so it's a gap scheme. In certain situations, I think Lamar was reading the D end, obviously not in this one, because we've got Oliver, who appears to be just securing that backside and making sure that the D end can't pursue down the line of scrimmage. This was a huge development in the game. When we found out of the pistol that we could run the ball effectively on them, I think this was a huge development. This is QB power read. We're pulling Powers. So Powers, the left guard, is going to pull and wrap. Davis is going to lead. And then Duvernay, the guy in motion, is going to follow Davis. It expands that edge. I mean, look at the gap you've got between the edge player's right shoulder and the pulling guard, Powers, who's out here already. Huge running lane for us. Now we're talking about Faalele and Linderbaum here. One of the things about Linderbaum that he's great at is back. There was some concern apparently whether he'd be able to play in a gap scheme. I mean, he's back blocking on a 4 technique. Zeitler's taking the nose down. Pretty good stuff if you ask me. Those guys can handle being the front side guard in Zeitler. And Linderbaum is, on gap schemes, is generally going to be the backside guy because the backside guard's going to pull. This one tore him up too. The combination of QB counter read, the pistol wind back that I showed you with Hill for 11 yards there, and then also the QB power read that I just showed you. Those schemes, if you ask me, really slowed down the defensive ends for the Patriots. I thought mid-third quarter they looked done, as in their edge players looked like they were really struggling. Pass pro where Lamar is fading back, rightfully so. He's got pressure from a blitzing inside linebacker in his face. Linderbaum seems to be doing a pretty good job here, if you ask me. He did get swam about 3 plays ago. I forgot to point it out, to be honest with you. Linderbaum's fighting pretty good with his hands, and then the guy tries the same move on Linderbaum that he used that I referenced a minute ago. He's just going to push-pull, and you can see he's throwing Linderbaum back this way. But it's mission accomplished for us because we've gotten enough time for Lamar to fade back a little bit and throw the ball up. You'd like to see Faalele, it's difficult to say that a guy like that needs to have, better knee bend and such. I mean, it's pretty damn hard for someone to put that kind of effort in on every play. I mean, this isn't bad. But he definitely still had trouble with Wise in some of these one-on-one situations. And here's one here. Wise is running that same move that he beat him with on the first snap for a sack. And Faalele's at least got a grip on him. I don't think that one was a hold at all. I think that's just called, man-bear strength by Faalele and getting into the guy's chest, and it's rarely going to be called in those situations. Faalele doesn't get a huge push here on this, three technique, I guess. The Patriots used a split 40 a couple of times. So split 40 is an old-school defense where you have 2 threes. There's a 3 technique there. There's a 3 technique there. So both of the A-gaps are open, and the guys that are responsible for them is the inside linebackers. This is an old defense. The high school that I went to and coached at for years, it's what they ran to great effectiveness against 21 personnel teams and wing T teams. So you can see what they're doing, they being the Patriots. They're trying to blitz to the A-gap with the inside linebacker. He's trying to cross over Linderbaum and blitz to the front side here, because they have a pretty good idea of what we're doing. And it's a nice job by Ben Powers. Look at Powers pick up the blitzing inside linebacker. Faalele and Oliver are comboing to the front side inside linebacker, which I think is 30. Faalele's not getting a whole lot of push, but he does allow... Look, Oliver has successfully comboed up to 30. Powers has stayed on that backside inside linebacker who blitzed. And then Linderbaum, as usual, is just going to play to the whistle, or in some cases even through the whistle. Forgive me if I'm pausing this too much. This snap really got me interested because I haven't seen a team use double threes in the split 40 look in a long time. At that point in the game, the pistol counter wind back had accomplished its goal. And I thought the Patriots were selling out to stop the run. The returns on it did become diminished as the game went on. Great completion to Duvernay over the middle. And this one looks like, off the top of my head here, this one looks like a pretty good snap for Faalele. Yeah, he's able to anchor down. He's not dealing with Wise at this point. Wise appears off the field. And I think this is 55 here, lined up over likely. He's going to try to jam initially, but likely releases inside. And then rush. Really no attempt at a bull rush there, if you ask me. Again, Moses looks like his posture was breaking down some to me. He's adjusting because Judon gets out of here, so he knows he doesn't have an edge rusher. Now he's trying to dump back inside here. So I guess the speed and the reaction that he's got, is why he kind of leans forward. He just seemed to be leaning forward with his helmet a lot more than I saw in the first 2 weeks. Pistol again, so you'd have to think this is going to be counter option. It's not. It's a stretch play, and this is a beautiful job by Linderbaum. We'll watch him first on the stretch play. We're trying to get outside here, and then, maybe bang it. Maybe sometimes you bend it back, and maybe occasionally you bounce it. You're not normally looking at 3 particular options on a stretch play. It's usually 2, but watch Linderbaum. He's out in front of the running back, and then watch him peel back, almost like a running back does, and then go get this second level player. Beautiful job by Linderbaum, and then Justice Hill just follows him. I think that's like a 6 or 7 yard gain. All right, let's check out Faalele on this one at left tackle, see what he looks like when we're trying to move him laterally. I mean, that's not bad. He's looking for work. He's got a 4-eye inside, maybe a wide 3. This looks like a tight 3, and then a 9. So again, this almost kind of looks like a split 40, except it's the inside linebackers are lined up a little different. Great job by Linderbaum. And Ricard is getting out there on somebody. That's wise. Holy moly. Good Ricard. He finishes him off. I'd like to see us run some more stretch in outside zone. I don't know about you. Get these guys attacking. You know, when I say these guys, I mean get our offensive linemen attacking. Let them attack people and force the defense to move laterally and have to adjust to the threat of us bouncing it outside with the running back. I think this is a great rep by Linderbaum and Faalele. You guys let me know. Clearly, it's a fantastic job by Ricard. All right, this is a F counter play that we ran last year against the Steelers for the first time. I think it's a 1st and goal from the 6. So when I say F counter, you're going to get the guard pull and kick. Ricard is going to pull and lead. And damn if it doesn't look like Dobbins is going to get in here. I was really hoping that he did. Again, Faalele goes down on the inside shade. He's going to go combo this D tackle here and then work his way back up to, I think, number 30, who steps over with the motion and the flow of the play. Look at the seal that we've got from Powers and Faalele. Ricard leading through. This looks like the recipe to score a touchdown. 30 apparently peels off of Faalele. He doesn't do it, but watch what Linderbaum is trying to do. He's trying to cut off the backside pursuit. He's going to block back on this D tackle here. And then there's going to be someone from the second level try to scrape over the top late. And Linderbaum has the awareness to try to get to him. He doesn't actually touch him. But if you ask me, he's always looking for work. And I think that eventually that's going to show up on a touchdown or show up on a big run. Faalele as well. Once he misses 30, he at least is trying to seal off someone on the backside. Let me know what you think. I think these guys played quite well for being rookies on the road. Faalele being thrown in there after the injury to Makari. And look, man, there's so many teams across the league that are having trouble with left tackles staying healthy. I can't blame anyone. Ronnie Stanley, Eric DaCosta, obviously not Makari. I don't think you can blame anyone. We've had a lot of options there, and we've gone through them quick. Daniel Faalele might end up starting this week against the Bills. They are root hogging, meaning the defense here. These defensive linemen are trying to cut us. You can see they occupy 3 of our guys because it's somewhat surprising. But that's okay because we're pass setting. We're trying to get back off a little bit, so it's okay. And this is a beautiful throw by Lamar. It's been addressed on Twitter and social media by many people. He's trying to keep this defensive player out of the play, so he's throwing it intentionally on this backside, even though Oliver's route is taking him from right to left. It's one of those things where certain people just don't understand space and how quarterbacks have to recognize and then find space during a game. Talking about Faalele on this one, he's pretty good. I think locked up. He looks a little high, but I guess you can't help it when you're 6'9", 385. And the one concern that I'm going to continue to have, and we all should, is him giving up, opening the gate to the outside too early at times. And he's definitely holding there in terms of holding the player. I don't think he's committing a holding penalty in the NFL in 2022 because it doesn't seem like those are being called that much. I don't know about you. My overall assessment would be I think Faalele and Linderbaum played quite well. Have to give Faalele a lot of credit for coming in there, as a backup at left tackle where he shouldn't be playing, number one. Number two, he gets beat quite badly on 2 of the first 3 or 4 snaps, and then he's able to recover. Now, he did have help, and that's just good coaching. Good coaching is just recognizing, okay, we've got a matchup problem here. We've got to help out somewhat. So we did help out with an additional blocker to chip and maybe even double team on certain pass plays. And then we helped him out by running the counter, the QB counter read, excuse me, the pistol counter wind back, as I call it. I love the game plan, how it adjusted during the game, recognizing what Faalele was capable of doing, dealing with the monster in Wise that he was dealing with. Let me know what you guys think of this film study. Offensive line, I know, isn't as beautiful and sometimes to watch for certain people as receivers and the run game and the quarterback stuff. But if you ask me if this Ravens team is going to win 11, 12, 13 football games, which some people might think sounds unrealistic, but if we're going to win double-digit plus football games, it's going to be because the offensive line is playing at a high level. I'm glad we drafted Daniel Faalele in the 4th round. I'm really glad we drafted Tyler Linderbaum in the 1st round. I think we've got a lot of talent there. The left side of our offensive line could clearly be looked at as our weakness. Powers and Faalele, if you ask me, come out of this game looking pretty good in terms of the progression, in terms of how we played there early in the game, Powers, and then Faalele after he came in, and then how we finished off the game. I feel like sometimes when we would play a football game and get done, we would ask our coaches, we'd say, if this was a 6-quarter football game, who wins? And we had to be honest sometimes and say, hey, we won the game tonight. But the way the other team was surging, if this was a 6-quarter game, they probably pass us. In my opinion, if this is a 6-quarter game, we beat this Patriots team by 28, 35 points. They were broken by the end, if you ask me. And I think a huge part of that was the QB counter plays, the pistol counter wind back plays, because the Patriots recognized they don't have the ability to stop it. And in my opinion, Daniel Faalele was a big part of that. You could see some of the combo blocks that he had on those counter plays, particularly out of the pistol, where he would combo the D tackle and then work up to the second level. I think he did a great job. Let me know what you think of my film study, what you think of Faalele and Linderbaum in the comment section. I'm working on a video on Marcus Peters now, and then be trying to put out a video on my favorite Raven, Josh Bynes, by the end of Tuesday night. Appreciate you guys' time.